What do it do, YouTube? It is your boys CJ and Frank back at it like a bad habit. You want something, better go grab it. I forgot. We got a new intro. What do it do, FCT crew? It is your boys CJ and Frank
Oh
back at
gosh.
it like a bad habit. If you want something, go grab it. What? What's your deal?
If it's as if the intro couldn't get any worse, he continues to make it worse and worse.
It rhymes. FCT crew, what do it do? It's perfect.
There's no need to get into all that. Like I said, study Penguin Zero
No.
videos.
I
Study some
never
Penguin
said
Zero videos. He
thoughts.
doesn't do dumb ass intros. And look at his view count.
Okay, well, good for him. We're different. We're not him. We're us.
You're not me. This ain't me. I'll tell you that. I wouldn't do that dumb shit. I'm sorry to tell you,
Well, speaking of
dumb shit.
doing some dumb shit, we have a
Yeah.
very interesting topic today on the Seibel Shoots podcast. We're not going to talk about wrestling. We're not going to talk about baseball. We're not going to talk about hockey. We're not going to talk about football. We're going to talk about a documentary that Frank and I recently watched. It's called Quiet on the Set: The Dark Side of Children's Television. And Frank, I know you didn't know this. I didn't know. I know you didn't know we were talking about this today, but
I did not.
yeah, man, let's get into this little documentary. If I say little documentary, it's a four-part documentary, and man, oh man, so much to talk about here, Frank. First of
Yeah.
all, you watched the documentary, so what was your biggest take on it? What was your biggest takeaway from it?
Biggest takeaway. I mean, I already knew about most of the stuff. I don't know if I had like any big takeaways, but I would say the documentary was really good. It's definitely worth checking out.
It's a fantastic
Yeah.
documentary. The people that made this documentary did a great job. Frank, you say that you knew a lot of stuff that they talked about. I'll
Many
be
of them.
honest, I didn't. Now,
You
to
didn't
show,
know you
go ahead.
didn't know about Dan Snyder?
I knew about Dan Snyder. That's about
Yeah.
as much as I knew. I didn't know about the uh, stuff that we're gonna get into. I didn't know about like I didn't know about that little girl's story.
So that yeah, that I didn't know either. I
Yeah,
didn't know that
I
either.
didn't
Yeah.
know.
But
I didn't know that Drake had that revelation. You
yeah,
know,
I didn't know. It seemed like with that there was mumbles that something had went on that involving Drake, and that's why he was acting the way he has been acting the last few years. But I didn't know it was something like that. But
that
you knew that shit was going on with kids though. Didn't know it was like they never talked about that
one of
specific kid though.
one of the things that grossed me out. Let's just talk about it. If you haven't seen the documentary, spoiler alert warning right now. Turn off the podcast, go watch, then come back and hear what we have to say about it. But one of the big takeaways that I saw, or one not takeaway, but one of the big things that got me grossed out was at the beginning when they talked about that Ariana Grande and she's trying to get potato juice.
Yeah.
On the surface, potato juice is kind of wacky and goofy,
Mm.
but when the potato is shaped like a penis, and she's out there and she's grinding or she's squeezing it
Pulling
like
on,
she would
squeezing.
have.
Yeah.
She was squeezing like it was like she would squeeze a dick, and she's making these noises, these noises. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
something doesn't correlate there. It's like, okay, that's a little actually that's extremely sus, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
And then they
See,
go ahead.
See, back when Victorious was on the air, I did not know of these internet videos. All these internet videos that have been told, I've since known about it. Ever since the Dan Schneider snuff stuff came out in like 2018, all that shit came to surface. I never saw those internet videos, so I did not know about them while the show was on the air.
Yeah, I think I knew that they were on the air, or I think I knew that not on the air, but I think I knew that they were online. I never seeked them out, and I never really watched them, so I
Mm,
can't. But seeing that video, I'm telling you now, that was why. Or when she's leaning on the bed, she's like leaning on the bed, and she's like pouring water on herself.
yeah.
Come on, man, that's not cool. You know, like
Mm,
these are children, and you're doing
yeah.
this. Like
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes, I'm gonna say this: Amanda Bynes and Drake Bell, they got the worst here, in my opinion. They Drake. Let's talk about Drake first. Let's get that. Drake was sexually assaulted by what was the man's name? I'm trying to remember.
Was a producer or something.
Yeah, he was he was
Yeah.
he was
Or something Peck. That he
uh,
had a familiar
yeah,
last name.
I got you. His name was Brian Peck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
No relation to Josh.
no, no, no,
Yeah,
no. Yeah, he was a former dialogue coach.
yeah, yeah. That.
Yeah, and so he had sexually assaulted. That whole thing, by the way, with Drake and all that stuff. That was let's take it back to the beginning where his father, Drake's father, was his manager.
Yeah.
Uh, Dude went to jail and then got hired by Disney to work with even more kids. What's up, Tro? Yeah, I know. That's what gets me. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so Drake's father was his manager, but Drake's father sort of knew Brian Peck was not right. He knew.
Right.
He
Yeah.
knew. But somehow Brian was able to sweet talk Drake's mother and Drake into dropping Drake's father as his manager. By the
Yeah.
way, I'm gonna say this. I felt so sorry for Drake's dad here. His dad seemed really heartbroken about this whole
He
thing,
was. He was. Yeah.
which he seems like such a nice man. And I was just like, man, that breaks my heart that happened.
Mm,
Um, but so they phase him out, his dad out, and Brian starts taking the role of his father, which that
mhm.
in itself is pretty disturbing, pretty sickening in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, um, because the guy has a dad, the man has a father, but it's not whatever. Um, so then he winds up then it then it winds up Drake stays the night at Brian's house, and he wakes up to uh to fondling to assaulting him, sexually assaulting him.
Yeah.
And Drake said he couldn't go into detail about what happened. He goes, just picture the worst thing that ever could happen as a sexual assault,
Yeah.
and that's what happened to me. And my God, that poor man. Uh Tro says Drake's mother is as responsible for this shit as anyone else. His mother let him
Does
in.
Tro
Huh?
Does Tro want to come in? He's got
He
stuff to
said
say.
no. I invited him. He said no.
Okay.
He declined. I invited him earlier. He
All
says,
right.
dude's mother is as responsible for this shit as anyone else. His mother let him be raped for the sake of stardom. Fuck that cunt bitch. Yeah.
Mm.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, Tro. Frank, any arguments?
I don't have arguments, but I do want to talk about something involving the docu series that TMZ reported on a little bit.
Go ahead.
Um, so Josh Peck, who is of course, if you don't know, is Drake's co-star on Drake and Josh.
Yeah.
He posted a TikTok yesterday, and it wasn't anything related to the docu series. It's
Okay.
just your normal TikTok where he's like doing the funky dances and all that,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and he got flooded in the comments with like, "Oh, your silence is, blah blah blah," as if he's supposed to like speak on this.
Yeah,
Like, bro, stop it. He's not the one you should be hating on in this
yeah,
situation.
no, no, no.
Like, stop it.
Josh definitely shouldn't be, getting any sort of flack.
You
And
got the right, you got the right last name, but you got the wrong first name. That's all I
yeah,
say about that.
yeah,
But the reason why they say that is because Josh has been hating on Drake over the past couple years. So they're like, "Oh, what now? What like what now? Let's hear what you got to say about him now." And it's like, look, for whatever reason that they ain't speaking to each other anymore, it's none of our business.
right,
And the fact that if he doesn't want to talk about it, he ain't the one that did anything to Drake in this situation.
exactly.
He doesn't have to talk about it. If he wants to go out on TikTok and do his funny little TikToks, he can.
Right.
Leave the man
He's
alone. You're going after the wrong man.
yeah.
That's all I'm gonna
But
say.
back to this. So yeah, no, I agree with Troy that his mother is the one that allowed all of this to happen, and that is what sickens me. I mean, um so Drake he has a hard time dealing with it, obviously, and he goes on to he wasn't gonna. He said he didn't want to speak out because he didn't want to risk getting his show taken away, which understandable. You
Drake
know,
and Josh, right?
yeah. That was
Because
Drake
this all went down right before Drake and Josh began.
right after Amanda's show, right before Drake
Yeah,
and Josh. Yeah,
and like they even he was like when this situation came down, it was like producer or whatever you said, the coach,
yeah.
whatever type of coach he was, fired from Nickelodeon for raping child star.
Mhm.
Not, you know, Drake's name was completely out of it and everything, which, you know, I guess that's, you know, he wants to keep Drake and Josh, you know, wants to keep that without, you know, anybody knowing about it before Drake and Josh comes on the air. And maybe for other reasons, maybe he just didn't want to be known. Maybe he just didn't want it to be known that this was going on to him. The one guy that knew was like what's his name himself, Snyder, because
Dan
Snyder
Schneider.
called Drake. Yeah, Snyder called Drake and was like, "Are you the one?" And he's like, "Yes." And it's like, "Oh man, I feel sorry for you. You know that this
Yeah,
happened."
we're gonna get into Danny Boy in a minute here because
Yeah.
I got some shit I gotta say about that guy. Because
Mm.
that guy ain't fucking innocent. I'm sorry.
No, he was a jerk on set. He was just like
He
uh
was. Do you want to just get to him real quick, or do you?
well,
What do you want to do here?
well, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. He was a jerk on set to
He was a
everybody.
jerk. He was a creep on set. Those fucking
Yeah,
jokes that he created,
yeah,
dude. Damn.
yeah. Those
Those
videos, the
the potato.
videos where he's like sneaking up on the kids and they getting all scared, like they were
Yeah,
legitimately scared of him on set.
yeah. When he's doing that, right? When he's making the potato juice jokes, when
Yeah,
he's making all when he the
yeah,
feet.
yeah,
That's sickening.
yeah.
It's gross.
And back then, you know, even like with when Victorious was on the air, I was like 18, 20 years old, you know.
Right.
Even
And
like to me, like the shit they were doing, it just seemed like silly kid stuff. Like the scene, the lotion scene. You know what scene I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
When I first
Yeah.
saw that lotion scene, I cracked up because I was like, these motherfuckers do not know what that looked like. Like they don't realize that that didn't look right. And
It,
then like
it
now it
looked like
turns
a
out
cup
they,
shot.
yeah, and now it turns out like
Same with
they,
same thing on Zoe 101.
yeah,
It's the goo.
yeah. Now it turns out like
And they called it goo, by the way. Come on.
right, right. And now it turns out that they knew exactly
They
what they were
knew, and
doing.
that's why they did it. They did it for
Yeah,
adult humor. I'm
yeah,
sorry, this show is not catered toward adults. It's
yeah,
catered towards children. What are we doing? And then and then we go into let's talk about the Snick on air dares. Because so, do you remember those? Watching those?
I never saw that. That was the first time I ever even heard of this show when
Really?
watching
I
it back
remember.
in the day.
Okay, now see, I remember watching the Snick on air dares, and they did stuff with like tarantulas, or I don't know if they did tarantulas. It was like the kids' version of Fear Factor. I think the craziest thing they did was they had that one dude eating scorpions,
Yeah,
live scorpions. Which, what are we doing? These are kids,
yeah.
right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, yeah, just the whole thing, man. It
Yeah,
was. So let's talk about episode one here, real quick. Episode one, it just talks about Dan Schneider, the early career of Dan Schneider, and yes, he was a jerk on set. He was an asshole on set. Um, he liked women and pretty. He liked pretty girls and dresses and shit that would shut the fuck up and do as they were told. That's what
mm,
he liked. So when these women um, spoke out and they didn't agree with him, they had to go because that's not allowed.
yeah.
Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly what episode one was pretty much about.
Yeah, and the ladies' names were Christy Stratton and Jenny Cleggan or Cleggan,
Mm,
Cleggan, Cleggan. How do you pronounce her last name? Cleggan, I think. Um, I don't mean to disrespect her. I'm sorry. Jenny Cliggan, I think, is how you pronounce her last name.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, he was just not he was not right in the head at all. Um, then they talked about all that. They talked about Amanda Bynes here. They talked about how I think that was episode 2 actually.
Yeah. Let me
Uh,
just say real quick. What's up to State of Survival? We're not gonna read that comment though.
no,
And
no,
no hate, but we're not gonna read it.
no,
That's
not with the subject that we're talking about here.
no.
No,
Even with even no matter what subject we're talking about, I wouldn't read that.
yeah, we're not even going to share that.
But what's
But
up, State of Survival?
if that's the case, you might want to take care of that. Um, anyway, so episode 2 is about Amanda Bynes and Katrina Johnson, who was on all that. I remember her on all that. She was great on all that. She did a little. She did a Ross Perot impression, which is pretty good. Ross Perot was one of the presidential candidates in '92. I want to say the '92 presidential election. I will read that comment. He says
I disagree with that.
Amanda Bynes did not age well. What do you disagree with that? What?
Yeah. Well, what does he mean that by? What does he mean that by? Like her, she.
Have you seen her?
Do you mean like what she's going through, or like how she looks?
Both.
Okay, well, what she's going through, yes, she definitely didn't age well. I would agree with that part. Yeah,
She looks really old, dude. Have you seen? Hang on.
she doesn't look that bad.
Um, really? Hang on. Let me just pull this up real quick, just to show you what she looks like now, Frank. And
I've seen her. They showed her on the documentary. She doesn't look that bad. Like,
bruh,
seriously,
stop.
I'm not stopping. I'm not saying she's like the most beautiful woman in the
And,
world, but she doesn't look that bad.
we're not gonna sit here and knock her. I feel sorry for Amanda.
Yeah,
Her childhood was robbed from her. Same with Drake
it
Bell, quite
was. Yeah,
frankly.
yeah.
Childhoods were robbed. Um, they talked about Katrina Johnson, she was a cast member and all that. They talked about Amanda Bynes basically replacing her, and they booted Katrina Johnson. They had no more use for her because she aged out, as they said.
Mm,
Oh, yeah, Michael Jackson's childhood too. Yes, yes, State of Survival. Yes.
yeah.
Um. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so they fake because she aged out. That's what they said on the documentary, which
Mm,
that's a bullshit excuse. Because by the time iCarly had ended, guess what? All three of them were all in college and shit. They
mm.
didn't age out. So why is that excuse for Katrina Johnson? I guess you could sit there and say, oh, it's just a different time. I don't care. It's the same thing. Am I wrong?
No,
Okay.
no.
Um, I'm sorry. I said okay with you like I was all defensive. I'm sorry. Um,
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
when I said okay, like
No,
okay,
I didn't take that as being
okay,
defensive.
okay.
No, that's
And then
fine.
we've already talked about episode 3, Drake Bell's secret.
Mm,
Um, yeah, when the guy started calling his girlfriend's house when
mm.
when uh
Peck, Peck,
Peck, yeah, not Josh Peck.
yeah,
Um
whatever his name. They know who we're talking about.
Yeah, hang on, I'll find it. Um, Brian Peck. When
Mm.
Brian Peck started calling Drake Bell's girlfriend, when he started calling her house and all that stuff, that's number one. That's a complete lack of respect for his
Hang on a
privacy.
second. Hang on a second. The hell is this?
What?
On our channel, it says there's a video from 2 hours ago. It says Frank is live. What the hell is that?
Oh yeah, I was screwing with you and
Oh.
You didn't even catch it till just now.
No.
I was trying to screw with you and you weren't paying attention.
Like, was that when we were in the studio? Like I said, I was busy when we were in the studio.
Yeah, it didn't look like you. It looked like you were just sitting down, dude.
Yeah, because I was sitting down. I was doing something work related on my phone.
Oh,
Yeah,
here I can remove it here.
yeah, delete it.
Yeah,
That's a nothing video.
it's gone. It's gone.
All right.
But no. Wow, you just can't talk that. Wow. State of Survival. We're talking about a documentary that we both watched called "Quiet on the Set."
It's funny.
The dark side of children's shows.
It's funny. I watched it yesterday in like the afternoon,
And I watched it
and
last
then
night.
yeah, and then like late at night, this motherfucker's like, "Do you have Max?" And
Mhm.
I knew the exact reason. I'm like, "Is he about to ask me about the documentary? Is this dude spying on me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got Max." He said HBO Max, which by the way, it is not called HBO Max, and it has not been called HBO Max for like 2 years now.
That
So get with
that's
the
HBO
program.
Max.
But he went to he asked me that, and I'm like, is this dude spying on me? Like, how does he know I've watched the documentary? It's like, bro, you gotta watch this docu
Honestly,
series.
Frank, we're talking about the show State of Survival called Quiet on the Set, the dark side of children's television, and it's basically talking about Nickelodeon shows from like the 90s and 2000s. So
And then into the
specifically,
early
I'll name the shows that they mentioned.
into
All
like the
that,
mid
the Amanda
2010s.
Show, Drake and Josh. They mentioned Cousin Skeeter, Zoe 101, and Victorious and iCarly. Those are the shows.
It goes even beyond iCarly because they reference
Oh yeah,
like the
Henry
very end.
Danger
Yeah,
and Game Shakers. You're right.
yeah, like the very end of Snyder's
Mhm.
career,
Talks
where
about those shows,
yeah,
uh, and it's talking about the dark side, the dark things that happen
yeah,
behind the scenes. So,
yeah.
for instance, I'll just say it: Drake Bell was sexually assaulted a
Peck,
by
Brian Peck,
not Josh
Brian
Peck,
Peck.
by Brian Peck,
Yeah,
who was of like a coach,
yeah.
like an acting coach. It's a very good documentary, and if you have Max State of Survival, I strongly suggest you go check it out because it's very interesting. But I'll warn you, if you like any of those shows as a kid, it'll fuck you up. It will screw
See,
you up.
See,
Uh,
that's everybody says that. Look, I've always said this. I'm able to separate what goes on behind the scenes to the show. Like, if I want to put on a Drake and Josh episode today,
oh, sure, I
which
probably could too.
I could
No
watch
big
it. I
deal.
was even watching. It got me in the mood to put on Drake and Josh. I was watching a few episodes yesterday.
There
I
you
had no
go.
problem. I like
On
don't
Max,
let no. It's on Hulu. It's either on Hulu or you can either get it on Paramount Plus.
oh, I have Paramount Plus.
I was watching on
I have
Hulu.
Hulu, but it's not letting me log in for some reason. But
That's
anyway,
weird. But
uh,
hold on. Um, now it wasn't. Hold on. Um, so yeah, like don't let bad people ruin good shows for you or good entertainment for you. That's how I'd say.
yeah,
Emma Caulfield said that once when talking about Buffy, because the creator of Buffy was a jerk too. He was a jerk to
yeah,
Charisma Carpenter, did all the bad shit. And somebody asked, like, how can I watch Buffy now with knowing all this shit? And Emma Caulfield had the best response for it. She said, don't let bad people ruin good entertainment for you. And I've lived by that all the time. I still watch Attitude Era WWE, and Vince McMahon is a big part of that.
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, no, that's a
don't
good point,
yeah,
Frank. That's a good point. Is and I guess you could put that. I guess you could apply that to Chris Benoit, sort
yeah,
of.
man. Yeah, I
Uh,
still watch a lot of shows that involve Benoit, even though he was
Sarah Michelle
overrated.
Gellar, says Sarah Michelle Gellar had a crush on her for a while. Yeah, who didn't? She was beautiful. She still is. Um, you've seen her, right?
Of
Recently,
course, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, so anyway, back to this documentary. So we talked about the Drake Bell stuff. Uh, I like I said, I felt bad for his dad, and then, um, Brian. This is the thing that got me. He only got what did they say? He only got 9 years. right? Or 9 months.
Um, yeah, whatever happened to him, there was like he was able to get out, and no
Yeah,
matter how long it was, and like he was back in the industry, which is
right.
crazy. That's
That's
crazy.
that's the thing that gets me.
Yeah.
Did Disney not do a fucking background check on
That's
this?
one thing. That's one thing. Not to like. Is still this is involves the documentary, but this is kind of going to take away from the story for 1 second. During the documentary, they were like kids back then. They were either watching Nickelodeon or Disney.
So
I'm
it
like,
says he was
what?
sentenced to 16 months in prison.
Right, right, right. But
Uh,
so I'm like, what? I was watching either Nick or Cartoon Network. I was not watching Disney Network. I'm sorry.
and he had to register as a sex offender,
Yeah,
and Disney still hired him to work on
yeah.
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Now, see, I want to hear what the cast of, I want to hear the dark side of Disney. That's the next thing that
Mm.
they need to talk about. We talked about the dark side of Nickelodeon. Let's cut to the chase, or let's keep it going. Bring out Disney. Let's go. Call them out too, because Disney ain't innocent.
Yeah, that is very weird. That is very weird.
Uh, it's not weird. It's I. You know what I think, Frank? I'm gonna put my conspiracy hat on here for just a split
It's
second.
not weird that a convicted sex offender was
No,
hired.
it's beyond weird. Once they found out his ass was gone, apparently. Okay, well, good, good. So they. Well, I
How
was
did they
gonna.
not know though? Once
That's
they
what.
found, how did they
That's what I
not
was gonna
know?
say. You know what? I bet you they knew. I bet you they looked the other way, and as soon as it was brought to their attention, they said, "Oh fuck, they know. Got to get
Mm,
rid of his ass. Clear our names.
maybe.
Make us look good." But I bet you they knew. I bet you they knew.
Mm.
Um. So yeah. This I'm getting angry talking about all this stuff. Um. But the sexual jokes in these shows, like we talked about, they
Mm.
just weren't necessary. They weren't needed. These were kid shows. The adult humor in a kid show is not. I get it because maybe adults will tune in with their kids, and if you want to
Yeah.
throw in a sneaky little joke,
Yeah.
okay.
Shows did
When you're
that
making
too.
but when you're making obvious cum shots or making shapes look like penises, when
Yeah.
you're doing that, come on. They did
Yeah.
not know they did not do a good background check. Those Disney and Nick Kid actors knew each other somewhat. Yeah. I bet yeah. Well, yeah, because yeah, true, because they probably did know each other. They because what's wild is when you're as an adult for me, I'm watching a Disney show, like for instance, Real Life of Zack and Cody. Here's a little tidbit for you. I bet you didn't know that the guy that played Freddy was on an episode from iCarly, was on an episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
You
So
talking about me? I wouldn't know. I
just
never
in
watched that
general.
show.
I'm just talking about in general. But
Oh.
this was before adult cartoons, so that was the only outlet. Now with The Simpsons and South, no, it's a survival.
What?
Some of the jokes, no,
Simpsons started in '89.
yeah, no, that's no, and that was an adult cartoon. Family Guy started in '99, way before Drake and Josh, and way before the Amanda Show.
Victorious. Yeah.
Hmm. Way before Victorious and iCarly. Yeah,
And
no.
South Park
That
started in
excuse goes out the
'97.
fucking window, State of Survival. Throw that in the trash.
So South Park started in '97.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, I love these shows and then they had, Zoe 101, they had Jamie Lynn Spears, and she got pregnant and had a baby, and I actually just looked up her daughter yesterday, not in that way, but just to see what she's looking like now. She's very tall. She looks like her
Mhm.
mother. Um, yeah. I didn't look at her like that, guys. Don't be, all that. No.
Well, how old is the daughter?
16.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Or she turned 16 this year. And she had another little girl too, and her other little girl turns 10. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody took that in that way when
Okay.
you
Well,
said
just to
that.
be I'm just clearing my
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
I'm not a Dan Schneider out here. I'm not a Brian Peck. I'm not one of them. Um,
That's, you need to clear your name on some stuff, but I don't know if you
yeah,
need to clear it on that.
uh, but they gave they here's the thing. They gave this guy Dan Schneider a lifetime achievement award. What did he achieve? Being an asshole? Look,
Oh, at that time, nobody. Well, I don't know if maybe Nick knew, but at that time, nobody knew. And like at that time, he was like the biggest thing that ever happened to Nick. So it made sense at the time. But the one big revealing thing was that Jeanette McCurdy was not there at that
right,
lifetime achievement.
right.
Yeah,
And that's because she wasn't comfortable being there. She wasn't comfortable around the
yeah,
man, and why would you be? Uh,
yeah.
I was going to say they gave him the lifetime achievement award. I get it. He gave us some banger shows. He gave us Drake and Josh. He gave us all that. He gave us Amanda's show. He gave us iCarly. He gave us Victorious. He gave us all these great shows. But now that all of this stuff has come to light, do you think it's possible that we could just redact that from him?
Uh, I if there's a way they could, I guess, but I don't know. That's up to
Stay at
Nickelodeon.
survival. Why do I get the feeling you're just here to troll? Because he asks who's Drake and Josh. Look him up on Google, bro.
He might not be that. He might not be our age.
Drake and Josh was a TV show in the
See,
early
that's
2000s on Nickelodeon. They
it seems like he might be older than us. That's all I
okay.
can think of.
I'm explaining who Drake and Josh are. Drake and Josh,
Yeah, go
Drake
ahead.
Bell and Josh Peck. It was Drake and Josh was a TV show in the early 2000s on Nickelodeon, and they played stepbrothers to each other. I
From
believe it was
2000.
Drake's mom that married Josh's dad,
Yeah,
and in the early 20s or in the early 2000s, I was in my 20s.
it was
Okay,
2004 to 2007. Yeah,
yeah,
see, that's why he doesn't know what it is. He was in his 20s. He wasn't
okay.
watching Nick. Yeah.
So I'm explaining it now. So it ran from '04 to '07. They played stepbrothers, and they had a little sister named Megan, who I believe that was Drake's little sister. Um, and
Meg.
she was played by Miranda Cosgrove. Hang on. Um, and that show lasted for 3 years, and then that show spun off into another show called iCarly,
Yeah.
which starred Miranda Cosgrove, who played the little sister Megan in Drake and Josh. And then iCarly lasted from 2007 to 2012. And that also, and with iCarly, there also was a show called Victorious that came out in 2010, starring Victoria Justice, who was on a show called Zoe 101, which came out in 2005, lasted till 2007 when Jamie Lynn got pregnant and had to leave the show, so they just canceled the entire show. Um, and Jamie Lynn was on a show called All That, which was a sketch comedy show. It was SNL for kids. Um, and also on All That was Amanda Bynes, who who was on the show from '96 to like 2000, and then she got spun off into her own show, which also starred Drake Bell and Josh Peck, who were on Drake and Josh. It all kind of connects.
Yeah.
And iCarly and Victorious, they did a crossover. I liked that episode. That was a banger episode, by the way.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if you saw that episode, but it was great.
Which crossover?
iCarly and Victorious.
Yeah, I love that episode.
It
That was
was
a great
one.
episode.
It was one where they all sing the mashup of the theme songs together.
Oh
Does that
wait,
ring a bell?
no, I was thinking of the episode where Victoria came on iCarly as the boxer. That's
Okay,
what
so
I
they
thought.
had no. They actually had a crossover with Victorious and
Oh,
iCarly back in 2011, and uh, basically, basically Carly and uh, Tori were sharing the same boyfriend, unbeknownst to one another. So when it's revealed that he cheated on them both with the other, they devise a plan to get back at him. Kenan Thompson makes an appearance on the show,
hmm.
uh, and um, at the end of the episode, both casts of iCarly and Victorious. They get together and they sing a mashup of iCarly's theme song and Victorious's theme song, and yeah, it was really good. It was like one of those corny episodes, but like I love crossover episodes personally, so I'm here.
Either either I forgot about it or I did not see it. And I loved both shows, so
Yeah.
I
Um,
don't.
they had yeah, it was a great song. Not a great song. It was a great show, great episode. There was like a hot tub scene again with kids and an old man in there. What the fuck? But yeah. See, that's the other thing is that Dan Schneider was a creepy bastard.
Yeah.
He was a creepy. That's the thing that they kind of undermined on this documentary was that he was a creepy, creepy bastard. With the feet stuff and he um he made all those innuendos and he did this stuff with little kids in hot tubs with him. I'm like,
They never mentioned that a long time ago. Like I think it was the iCarly Twitter account once tweeted out like send pictures of your feet, and like they were trying to get kids to like send pictures of their feet as part of a
well,
contest. I guess they never. I'm surprised they never mentioned that.
I'm glad they mentioned Josh Peck doing the or not Josh Peck. I'm sorry, not Josh Peck.
The other pick,
Redact that.
Brian pick, Brian
Redact
pick.
that. Brian Peck.
Yeah,
They mentioned that he was Pickle Boy. Now,
yeah,
as a kid, never picked up on it. Never.
yeah.
Pickle Boy.
Mm.
Pickle Boy. As an adult, looking back, all now that they print when they brought all the sexual innuendos to light, I'm like, how the fuck did I miss all this as a kid?
That scene with Ray Romano was very weird. It was
That scene
very
was
very weird.
yeah. I wonder what Ray Romano did. I wonder if Ray will comment on that at all.
He probably didn't even realize that he was working with a bunch of creeps. He probably not they thought nothing of it. He probably just thought he was doing a funny little kid skit, and they don't, it looks weird, but that's not what's gonna, they think, he probably just thought he was doing a funny ass kid skit.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that funny, quite frankly.
No, no, it came off as weird.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to discuss?
Uh, I mean, it was a very good documentary. It's a shame to see what happened to a lot of these kids and the family members, for that matter too. It's painful for the family to deal with that too, and
Yeah,
it's a shame that Brian Peck was still able to work in the industry, not just in the industry, but on kids shows.
it's a shame he
Uh,
was let out of prison. Let's just say that.
yeah, well, maybe he deserved a longer sentence. I'll say that. I don't think that's life in prison. I wouldn't. I'm just going to say that's not necessarily life in prison. He deserved a longer sentence. I'll say that.
We're gonna disagree on that one,
Mm.
but let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this documentary. Uh, what you think of all this stuff. Uh,
Is Tro still in the comments?
I'm not seeing Tro at all, so I'm gonna
Well,
say
I would try to figure out like if he's still here, say what's up or something, because we
Tro. If
have
you're here,
to.
say something in the comments.
Yeah, we have to discuss the SmackDown. When are we gonna do that?
I thought we had a date tomorrow at like noon.
No, we have not had a date.
Okay.
We've
Tro,
never
when do
we've
you want
not.
to cover? When are you down to cover SmackDown tomorrow, bro? Or
If you're still
SmackDown?
here, yeah.
I'm good for tomorrow. I'm good for about noon my time, which I guess would be about no. I'll say 10 a.m. my time. I'll do 10 a.m. my time because I know Tro
Which would be
works, and I think
yeah,
that's like his off time is noon your
that
time.
would be noon. Yeah, noon my time is a perfect time for me too. But I don't
Yeah,
know what
I'm good for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Tro, 10 a.m. Does that work for you tomorrow, bruh? Noon your time. I'm good tomorrow, noon East time, like usual. All right,
I
perfect.
don't
There
think.
you go.
Oh, he's
Be on the
okay.
lookout for that, guys. Um,
Okay.
FCT coming back at you with another SmackDown review. I'm
I
actually
feel
going to
like
watch the show and make notes. So
I
you can't tell me I'm not gonna that I didn't watch.
Yeah, you told me that you did it for the ECW review, which is finally, like
Yeah.
finally. I'm in the mood. I don't know what we can talk about, but I'm in the mood to pull double duty, do another video. I don't know what we could talk about though. That's the problem.
WWE 2K.
No, I don't want to do no WWE 2K. I mean like an actual another video.
Frank, you and I will come up with something.
All right.
Until next time, he's Frank. I'm CJ. Thanks for joining in, crew. We'll see you soon.